Hello Dr. Fatima, hello everyone, my name is Hassan Zibawi.
And I am Khalil Ahmeda.
Today we're gonna analyze Ed Sheeran's Heinz advertisement.
I've got an idea for a Heinz ketchup commercial. I was at this super posh restaurant. Super posh.
Ed Sheeran went to a very fancy restaurant because he has an idea for a Heinz ketchup commercial.
Also, as we can conclude from what he said, we can see that his idea can't be done without this type of restaurants.
The type of place that has chandeliers and paintings on the wall and way too many forks. I think classical music was playing, but maybe it was jazz. No, definitely classical.
Ed was telling what happened with him at the restaurant as he was telling the story to someone. Also, we can consider the video as his imagination. As an evidence, we can see the chandelier and the painting on the wall suddenly showing up directly after he mentioned them.
Also the knives.
True, also we can assure that by the knives switching to forks after he mentioned them. But here there is a question. Didn't you notice something weird?
Yes, I did. Although, as we know, Ed is a musician.
True.
And he is pro musician. But in this commercial, he wasn't able to know and recognize the type of the music. Not because he is not a pro musician, but because he was busy about the idea he has. Also, there was some kind of sarcasm.
True.
We can see the impression on the pianist face, who is already from its imagination.
True.
Hostess walks up to me and she says, "Mr. Sheeran, is this your first time dining with us?" And I say, "Yep." The waiter comes over, he's telling me about the specials. Super fancy vegetables, fancy sauces. I said, "Sounds fancy."
At first, if we look deeper, we can notice a very important detail, which is the hostess knowing Ed's name here.
Yes.
She knew it because he has definitely reserved the table there. Because in those type of restaurants, you can't go without reserving a table. So that shows how serious was Ed planning to do his type of commercial, especially in this restaurant.
Yes. Also, we can see around him that everyone is from one social class.
True.
They all dressed well and looking fancy, but Ed is wearing very normal clothes. Also, maybe it was a message from him to show us that clothes don't define how fancy you are.
True. Even the way the waiters treated Ed shows how fancy the restaurant is, and we can hear repeatedly the word fancy in the specials of this restaurant.
So, fast forward and the food comes. The waiter goes on to tell me, "We are proud to present this farm-to-table blah blah blah, posh and fancy blah blah blah, with a side of blah blah blah." You know, the food looked good. I just thought there was something missing. So I reach into my bag and I take out the only thing that can complete me.
Yes, here Ed was sarcastic about the fancy restaurant.
Why?
Because they always say big and useless description about their plates.
True.
He skipped the waiter description, saying blah 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 blah, because the only thing he cared about was adding Heinz ketchup to his plate.
Yeah, and basically, due to how fancy this plate was, the chef himself got out of his kitchen to see how would Ed react to his plate. But instead, Ed did something very surprising. He pulled a bottle of ketchup and surprised everyone in the restaurant.
Exactly.
And at that point, the whole world came to a stop. And the waiter was screaming through his eyes. So that's my idea. Do you want to do it?
After what he did, we can easily see the frustration on the chef's face, as if he was saying he ruined my masterpiece.
Exactly.
Yeah, even the waiter was so shocked and surprised because maybe for him it's something very unusual to see someone adding ketchup in this restaurant.
Yes, and in this scene, Heinz did a very clever move. When he said the whole world came to a stop,
Yeah.
the people stopped everything they were doing just to watch what Ed is doing. Music stopped, and even the dog was shocked.
True.
It was a smart move from Heinz to put all eyes on their product. There was nothing happening in this scene.
Yeah.
Only Ed adding the delicious Heinz ketchup.
Yeah, even there's a detail which is very important. He was screaming through his eyes. Even we can consider it, he was describing also everyone at the restaurant. In this metaphor, maybe he was sending a message that how people would react if they saw someone different from them.
Yes, exactly. At the end, once he flipped back the bottle,
Yeah.
everything returned back to a normal.
Yeah, the waiter
returned back to his work again, and people stopped looking at the edge.
That's right. Extrinsic ethos was very strong because Ed Sheeran is a very famous person and he has a great influence on a lot of people in the world. Also, there was a lot of comments saying that they are here just to watch Ed Sheeran performing his commercial and they didn't care about the product or what's the message for. Also, his love for Heinz ketchup isn't a secret. As we can see here, he has a bottle of ketchup tattooed on his arm. Intrinsic ethos is very strong too, because Ed Sheeran used a very informal way to talk to his audience, which means his audience now is like his friends. He's telling them his story and everything he passed through in this restaurant. And it's also strong because the main focus was on Ed's voice. Even other characters had Ed's voice. And in terms of pathos, it wasn't so strong, but we can't ignore the fact that we saw some emotions like the frustration emotions, embarrassment, and confusion. We saw that on the people's face and the chef and the waiter. Also, we saw the happiness and joy emotion on Ed Sheeran. Before he added his favorite sauce, he was very upset and he was just waiting to add his sauce. But after he added it, he looked very happy and very joyful.
The targeted audience was all social classes, because there is an idea in everyone's mind that ketchup cannot be added on a fancy meal or a fancy plate. And the idea of only people with fancy clothes can go to a fancy restaurants. In terms of logical fallacies, Heinz did a very good job marketing their product through this ad. They gave around 20 seconds and more with no music or word, just everyone looking at the bottle of ketchup. And thanks for watching.